On asphalt battlegrounds from Daytona to California, a modern-day gladiator has emerged. Veteran warriors with nerves and mounts of steel bask in the warmth of their competitive fire. Within these great ovals, paychecks and reputations are earned one day at a time. And on tracks across America, encased in the deafening solitude of his chosen trade, the NASCAR driver knows his success on a given Sunday is but a mere reflection of the men behind the wall. Whether viewed from the safety of a grandstand seat or at the reins of 700 horses, it's clear the fastest growing sport in America is here to stay. The champions of NASCAR invite you to experience the driving force.
It's no different than any football, baseball, whatever. Everything's got to work together to become #1 in our sport.
You don't want to just go out there and be fearless, but you want to be able to go out there and run fast too. But you got to have a little bit of fear in you, I think, to get to that point.
I think there was a time when a driver could literally carry a car to victory circle. Today, it's a totally different concept. It's not just the driver anymore.
It's working with the people on your team, and that's what really keeps me going and really drives me.
Doesn't matter whether I've qualified 34th or qualified first, I'm going to still go run just as hard as I can run either way. You know, it makes no difference.
Every sport has particular challenges, there's no doubt about that. But we have one ingredient that the others don't have, and that is the automobile.
The part I like most is driving the car. I can't think of anything else that I would rather do. That's my passion, is driving a race car.
This is the greatest time in history to be a part of NASCAR racing, and I'm lucky enough that I got a piece of it.
The roar from a sea of rabid fans can be a driving force for the NASCAR driver. 6 million of them will come to the tracks this year. Another 150 million will watch on television. But with the incredible explosion of the sport's popularity, the increasing intensity of the spotlight has caused growing pains.
Spotlight's so hot it almost burns sometimes, I tell you.
Our sport kind of went from the backwoods to Hollywood, if you will, in a very short period of time.
We went from running races with 65,000 people in the stands to, you go back 2 years later, that same racetrack has built 130,000 seats. And there's 130,000 people there. So, you know, along with that have come bigger sponsors, have come more media, have come more responsibility and more pressure on the driver to go out and perform on the racetrack, to perform in the boardroom, to perform at the Walmarts and the Kmarts and the Targets of the world, signing autographs and do stuff like that. So it's an all-inclusive package now.
It's certainly been overwhelming, and I think it takes time and experience to be able to learn how to deal with it and handle it.
The driver is in the limelight constantly and has to be very aware of what he says, what he does, his actions, and all of those kind of things.
But that's good because, you know, I think as athletes accept a responsibility as our sport has grown and as we've become more popular to be a role model for people. And it also gives us a forum at times to get across a message that we want delivered.
Racing is my platform, and on that platform, it's my stage, and that's where I do my performing.
I think any time that it gets difficult, or, you know, I think, you know, boy, I need to get out of this situation, I just think back at, you know, how great my life really is and how fortunate I am, and it puts things in perspective and makes my life a whole lot easier.
The spotlight can create overwhelming shadows. The shadows of NASCAR legends Richard Petty and Ned Jarrett have been cast over sons who chase their father's legacies. Heirs to the dream, Kyle Petty and Dale Jarrett have handled high expectations, while each is carving out a legacy of his own.
I was probably 9 or 10 years old before I realized that everybody's father didn't own a race car or drive race cars. I thought that's what everybody's father did, you know. It's real funny. We grew up and right next door to the race shop, and we would come home from school, get off the school bus, and you could hear the race car running over at the race shop. And on the days you could hear it running, you knew that my father was getting ready to crank it up and take it down the highway. So we'd run to the race shop and jump in on the right-hand side of the car, and he'd drive the race car out to the end of the driveway, hang a left, and go down the highway about 1.5 miles, 2 miles, turn around and come back, and they'd work on it, and then he'd go down the highway again. And I'd bring kids home from school on the days that I knew that he was going to be going up and down the highway, and that was always a big thrill to get to go home with Kyle and ride in Richard Petty's race car.
From the driving ability and stuff, he's probably got more driving ability than I ever thought about having. The drivers don't have the same opportunity that I had when I came along, because you didn't have all the publicity, you didn't have all the big sponsors, so I could spend my time working with the race car. Now all that stuff's changed, and Kyle has to be, you know, all things to all people.
I can't think of anybody else that I would rather have grown up in the shadow of or still be in the shadow of than Richard Petty.
I think he has made a way for himself separate from his father. He is certainly different with his hair and his earring and his charismatic type way. But yet there's still a humility there that I think even people around him can see. And he's handled himself beautifully in that shadow of his father.
I've never felt pressure. I never felt that I had to live up to what he did. I knew that his records that he established were something that were probably out of my reach, and I just wanted to do what Dale Jarrett could do, be the best of that I could with the abilities that God gave me.
We knew that he'd be involved in some type of pro sports, and once he got behind the wheel of a race car, we knew that was going to be it.
I've been in the car many a day in the driveway, having my own races and dreaming of one day winning the Daytona 500. So, you know, I'm one of the fortunate ones that those dreams did come true for me.
Well, that was a very special moment for the Jarrett family and for the sport to have me to call the last lap. They encouraged me to be a dad on the last lap, and so I just talked to him like a son, you know, and he responded in the race car to what I was saying, although he was not hearing me. And then to have him to pass Dale Earnhardt on the last lap and win the Daytona 500, you couldn't have scripted it any better.
Earnhardt, it's the Dale and Dale show as we come off of turn 4. You know who I'm pulling for. It's Dale Jarrett. Bring her to the inside, Dale. Don't let him get down there. He's going to make it. Dale Jarrett's going to win the Daytona 500.
It was a huge race, and I was very fortunate to be in victory lane, because I know that there are a lot of drivers that come through here that have more talent and are better drivers that never get that opportunity to visit that victory lane and to be a part of that whole celebration. And we had a wonderful time with it. I could say that it honestly changed my life forever after winning that race, but certainly it was for the good. You know, no matter what you do the rest of your time, most times you're introduced as a Daytona 500 champion.
Oh, there's nothing like victory, you know that. So that's always exciting, and there's always a release, like, and there's always that thank you prayer. It's like, you know, we're lucky to be here. We're enjoying it for the moments that we're here, because it will come and it will go. And so with that, you have to build your life around other things besides just racing. But there's nothing like the thrill of the moment of conquering that day, because now it's so competitive, and there's so many things that can go wrong, that for you to have a perfect day and end up in victory circle, that's quite rewarding.
We've been very proud. The way that he represents himself, his family, God, and everybody that's involved in the whole thing. We are most proud of him for those things, and what he accomplishes on the racetrack really is a bonus as far as we're concerned.
I think Kyle and I viewed it a lot the same, that we looked at it as opportunity. It wasn't something that was expected of us, that we had to do. It was just something that we chose to do, and we wanted to be good at it.
I always looked at it as a blessing. You know, I think you can look at it two ways. You know, it's the same old story. Is the glass half full or half empty? You know, it just depends on how you look at it. And I always looked at it as a blessing. This was what I wanted to do, was drive a race car. You have to look at the positives and say, okay, I'm going to learn from the best. The best is going to teach me how to drive a race car. The best is going to teach me how to do PR. So, you know, from that aspect, and I never looked at it as being a negative. it was always a positive because we already had race cars. I could go race and I could do what I wanted to do and had a good time doing it.
Our sport is very unique in the way that, you know, kids and adults are able to get close to the figures that they see racing on TV. And not only do we get to meet them, but in some cases we get to help make a positive impact on their life. I was put here for a reason. It wasn't just to win races.
Put God first, put your family second, put what you want to do third. But whatever you do, have fun doing it, because there's enough stuff out there to do that you can pick and choose something that you thoroughly enjoy and that you love and have a passion for doing. And if you keep those three priorities straight, then everything else just comes along.
The team concept has been a part of stock car racing since its earliest days. Crew members are the people who make the sport go. They don't care who gets the credit, as long as the job gets done.
It's all about teamwork.
That's what this business is all about. Not any big eyes and little U's in this deal. I mean, it's all teamwork.
I think any driver right now will tell you, I wouldn't be anything without my crew.
I tell you, they are the essence of what teamwork really is.
One man can be a crucial ingredient on the team. But one man alone cannot make a team.
It takes about 12 guys at the track, changing shocks, changing springs, changing gears, and everybody's got to do their job. If any one guy lets you down,
It's life and death huge. You know, that's how huge it is.
It's easy to overlook the many crew members that make up a race team. And while drivers command center stage, they're only as good as their teammates that support them behind the scenes, unseen by the public eye.
today the driver is he's a lot like a quarterback. Troy Aikman, Dan Marino, those guys may be great quarterbacks, but if they don't have somebody to block for them, they'll never throw a pass. If they don't have somebody that can catch the ball, they can throw it right on target all day long. No good. And pretty soon they'll be known as a bum quarterback. Well, that's the way a race driver is if he doesn't surround himself with good people.
All sports are governed by the same principles. If football is a game of inches, racing is a sport of seconds. Who better to lead a race team than an NFL Hall of Fame head coach?
We feel like we are a big family. I think that's how you win in business. That's how you win in sports.
In 12 seasons as head coach of the Washington Redskins, Joe Gibbs won 3 world championships. In 1991, he entered the world of auto racing and found similar success.
Everything that happened to me in football is happening to me again in racing, because you've got people involved. And it's a people business. You don't win in football with X's and O's and equipment. You win with people. And the same thing in racing. You don't win with a car and being mechanical things. You win with people. And when you get 50 or 60 people together in any endeavor, business, sports, football, auto racing, you're going to have people problems. And you're going to have great success and thrills working with people. It's one of the hardest things in the world. But yet the only thing worthwhile in life really is people.
Instead of a quarterback, Gibbs now has a crew chief. His linemen are mechanics. His receivers and backs, engineers and machinists. Individual commitment to a group effort is what makes the team work, whether it's on a field or on a raceway.
We're fortunate to be hooked up with Joe as far as I'm concerned, because he is a great leader of the teamwork philosophy and the ability to communicate that.
He brings the right aspect of living, the right aspect of families, the right aspect of winning to a team. I mean, he's got all the ingredients. It's like a football team. When you got a lot of people working together on a team, even though they're all in one direction, they all want to win a championship or a Super Bowl. I mean, it's hard to get, 50 employees or 50 players to go in that same direction a lot of times.
He cares about them as individuals, and so when they come to work every day, they're coming to a place that's friendly, that they know they can come in and do their job, and they're respected, they're well liked. What they do for this team is something that people care about.
Anytime you put teams together, it's so critical that every person is important. All the small things, and it's really normally the teams and the businesses that do the small things the best are the ones that win. It only takes one little piece. This week on the race, we had one little piece was put on wrong. It was a 15-cent little bracket. It was put on wrong. It cost us a pit stop, and that could cost you a race.
Joe Gibbs Racing is committed to people, and they want to see that people are ministered to and encouraged. And we meet together every Tuesday morning to pray for every single person on this team.
Help us to be an encouragement to one another, Lord. I thank you for this weekend and the safety that you brought to all of us, Lord.
That creates an atmosphere where we are pulling for people, we're encouraging people. It's not an environment where people are pointing fingers at each other.
The old proverb, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, applies throughout everything that the Bible says.
The Bible itself teaches you how to respond to each other, to relate to one another, and to look out for other people's interests. It tells you point blank, don't just look out for your own interest. Consider other people's interests at least equal to yours, and then, we're told to put others first, and so we try to do that.
I blew it in front of you guys. I can apologize to you guys.
If we do that in whatever the relationship, then people appreciate it. They feel comfortable and they trust you, and you can trust them, and so the team can move on to higher levels without a lot of the petty things that go on in many relationships. And so we're just pleased as we can be that Joe, he drives that philosophy and that teaching from the Scriptures.
We are Christians, but we do fail. Being a Christian doesn't mean you're perfect. So when we fail, so we have to learn from our failures. We have to make the adjustments and go on. And we hope that you don't judge Christianity based on our failures. Judge Christianity on how we handle our failures.
It is a team network. Everybody from the guy that sweeps the floors to the race car driver to the car owners. But that driver's sort of out there on an island by himself. He climbs in the machine that you've worked on. The relationship there has got to be such that he can communicate back to you things that are happening inside that race car.
What separates the top teams from those running in the middle of the pack is one thing: chemistry.
If the car's not responding to his, what he's trying to get out of it, he's got to be able to bring that back to the crew and the crew chief and tell them what's wrong with the car and what he needs it to do. There's got to be a lot of good open communication there where we can understand exactly what it is he's looking for and then go ahead and make the car do the things that he needs.
10:25 laps on that set. We'd like to go to 50. We've gone 49 on a whole lot looser setup. We think we can make 50. Hard. You clear. Go on. Run your line.
Word has it he's working with the 6 car, okay? Get up there and get him loose. You get it?
Teamwork is a combination of effort by many people. It's the ability to adjust to what is best for the team, to have confidence in one another.
There's been so many times that, I've gotten in a race car, and I don't even know what springs are, no shocks or nothing like that. I don't want to know sometimes. And I get in there and I take off and I'll go flying down in the corner, and I've had people say, well, how do you know these guys are going to do it right? What makes you feel like, what gives you that confidence? And I said, well, I just trust them. I have confidence in these guys to know that, they're going to do the right thing for me. And I mean, that's just all trust.
That's a two-way street. He has to trust us with his life, actually. We're going to put a car together, and we're going to put it together as safely as we can and to make it run as fast as it can. for him. And we trust in his job, his abilities, that when we put this car together, that he's got the abilities to go ahead and perform with the car to the level that we expect.
The main ingredient of stardom is the rest of the team. Before Bobby Labonte, Dale Jarrett drove the bright green Interstate Batteries machine.
You look back over things and you always wonder what the plan is for your life. And I had no idea why Joe Gibbs was coming into my life when he called me in 1992 about the possibility of him starting a team and about the possibility of me being the driver for that team.
When Gibbs started coaching, it took him 2 years to win the Super Bowl. After signing Jimmy Makar and Dale Jarrett, it took Joe Gibbs Racing 2 years to win the Super Bowl of NASCAR, the Daytona 500. Gibbs' entry in the racing world secured a future for his two young stars, not just on the track, but in life's biggest race.
Certainly Jimmy is a big reason that I am where I am today. I think we both had our lives changed by Joe Gibbs and him coming into our lives and the difference that it made, not only about the racetrack and racing, but something much more important, our spiritual lives.
Over the years, the drivers may change, but the principles and standards that govern Joe Gibbs Racing are steadfast.
Most people in racing have been of the belief that whatever it took to win races was okay. They call it fudging, they call it cheating, they call it lots of things, but Joe's of a belief that you do things as good as you can do, as well as you can do them, leave results to God. Just do your job the best you can, and we'll see what happens.
We make choices all the time, and at Joe Gibbs Racing, we say that if we gain from something, and we were going to gain from it, and it's wrong, we can't do it. And yet, if we would lose by doing something, and yet it's right, we have to do it.
When excellence becomes a tradition, there is no end to greatness. The only thing that endures is character.
Obviously, we want to win championships, but 20 years from now, no one's got any idea, who won the NASCAR championships. If you can realize what's most important in your relationship with the Lord and having that straight, then I think years from now, you're laying up treasures that obviously are a lot more important than trophies.
I would hope that people from the outside would look at this race team and say, hey, those guys are trying to do things the right way. There's something different there about their race team, and my hope and desire would be that they would look at us and say, hey, that's the right way we should be doing things, and be a witness through the way we act and the way we race.
There's something alluring about a raceway. Seemingly overnight, the sport has moved out of the shadows. The track has an appeal that continually draws people back.
33 years old. My parents started bringing me here when I was a year old. Family tradition.
I've been coming since late 50s.
I've came every year since 1969.
Coming for 10 years.
This is my first time.
Come on, get your paper. Come on, hey! Come on! I know you got time to read now. Ain't doing nothing now except walking and talking. Let's go. Get a paper. Come on, get a picture of Jarrett or Earnhardt. Come on.
The man, son, Dale.
Rusty Wallace. Jeff Gordon.
Earnhardt.
Gordon.
Me and my friend right there, Mark Martin all the way.
Earnhardt. That's the only man on the track. The rest of them's just volunteers.
I like the way the engines draw. They're kind of noisy.
The thrill, the speed is certainly there.
We race these cars inches apart at 200 miles an hour.
It feels like you're going so fast. Pretty neat sensation of speed a lot of times.
I get my thrill out here, and it is a tremendous thrill to go this fast.
Put that helmet on, put those seat belts on, get all wrapped up in my little world and get my blinders on and I'm pretty comfortable right there at 190 miles an hour.
Tires are the driver's connection to the track, and of the many variables that determine the outcome of a race, the tire is the only one that is equal to all. Of course, those tires have to be changed, and pit stops are never equal.
A pit stop is a thing of beauty. I mean, it's like a ballet. You're sitting in a car, and you see them go out, and you see them come back in, and you leave, and it's a thing of beauty. Then there's other times when it's like chaos. They go around, they run into each other, the car falls off the jack, the guy's air wrench breaks, the can of gas in the back, gas flies up in the air, and you're wondering if you're going to get out of there alive or not. Every time you come on pit road, it can be a fire drill.
A good pit stop is 18 seconds. 19, 20, 21 seconds feels like forever.
A 20-second pit stop is a terrible pit stop. Most of your other competitors all had 18-second pit stops, so they were 2 seconds faster, so they automatically get out ahead of you.
I was talking to Ray Everhand. He said that him and Jeff and the crew have a deal. If you'll pass 3 cars on the track, we'll pass 8 in the pits. And pretty soon we'll be in the lead.
The Winston Cup circuit is so tough, it's a lot easier to pass the guys in the pits than it is on the racetrack.
Every pit stop is a test against time. It's a mental and physical challenge, all in the name of speed.
When I made my commitment to the Lord, you know, I got a new focus and a new direction for my life.
One such driver has made a name by consistently overcoming obstacles. And what an unusual name he has.
My dad was one of 7 speed boys, and a lot of speeds back there where I come from. The first name is pretty unusual as well as the Lake. It came from one of my dad's best friends. I've gotten a lot of pleasure and a lot of enjoyment out of being the underdog. You know, my career has been one where we've never had the big bucks behind us, or the big team, or the machine that some of them have behind them, you know, to go. And so we've always been able to go out there and buck the odds.
When Lake Speed switched to stock car racing, he had already won 6 national championships in karting. Without top equipment, or sometimes even a sponsor, Speed has been successful because of his perseverance, tenacity, and persistence. He never lost sight of his goal.
Obviously, I'd love to be able to stand in the victory podium and give the Lord the credit for it. But at the same time, it's when you go through the adversities, the really tough times, that I think that's when people really measure how a man reacts or acts under the crunch.
I think Lake's probably ministered to more people outside of Victory Circle than he ever could have inside. I think people look at Lake and they think, well, you know, Lake's hung in there all these years. He's won 1 race in 18 years of Winston Cup racing, and gosh, he hangs in there, you know, that tenacity and that stick-to-itiveness, you know, and I think that a lot of people look at that as a real testimony.
The true test of a man's character comes when he is beset with roadblocks, and there seems no possible way he can reach his destination. Yet, he keeps striving. Lake Speed rarely leads the pack. Still, he's never wavered on what is truly important, or forgotten who is responsible for getting him there.
The guy that's interviewing for the television comes up and sticks the mic in my face and he says, you know, well, what does this mean to you? And at this time, I was still straight-faced and had my composure, you know, everything was fine. Everything was okay until a little small voice inside of me said, I told you I'd take care of it. And when God did that, you know, it was like, yeah, all those months he kept telling me, don't worry, I'll take care of it. You know, we're dialing for dollars like it's going out of style, you know, about to wear out the telephone, looking for money, trying to find some support and sponsorship, and not getting anything. And the whole time, you know, God was telling me, don't worry, I'll take care of it. But your human nature makes you want to try to do everything you can possibly do. But sometimes the conviction would be so strong, I'd hang the phone up and just say, okay, Lord, you said you're going to take care of it. And for him to come through like that, the way he did it, was pretty awesome. I hope that my career would give a lot of other people hope that just because odds are stacked against you does not mean you can't be victorious and you can't be an overcomer, whether it's in a career or whether it's in life itself.
The one thing that I'm most proud of about Lake's character encompasses probably everything about him, and it's integrity. I just think that there aren't a lot of godly men around these days, and God's blessed me with one that that emulates him in his at his best, and I just thank God for that every day. Oh, what a sweetie.
Today, you're at Darlington, and compromise is a good word. Because if you try to take more than you're giving at the beginning, you won't be around at the end when it counts.
From the eye of the spectator, the line between fear and fascination becomes blurred. But at 200 miles an hour, the fears of the NASCAR driver exist on an entirely different plane. In his constant dance with danger, a minor error in judgment can produce unspeakable consequences.
Anybody that tells you they're not afraid at some point in time in a race car, you know, they're just not telling you the truth.
Fear is there. It's definitely there. And I think that fear is what keeps you within that edge. Fear is the driving force in all of us.
There's plenty of times when your heart skips a beat, or you catch your breath, or you're vibrating in the car that you're so intense, but it passes.
I have no death wish. I have a beautiful wife, 2 beautiful children. I have a great life. I don't want to go out on the racetrack and get hurt. And it certainly is something that's in the back of your mind.
We pray before the race. I pray during the race. And I always have the thought in my mind that the Lord loves Darryl more than I do, and that he's going to take really good care of him. And I sing hymns. I've memorized several hymns with my children and I, just so that you have that resource when you start feeling fearful. So I sing hymns in my mind.
If I said that I was calm or unconcerned, I think I'd be lying. So I think any racing wife would be if she said that.
It is a very scary feeling. You're on edge with every turn and just constantly fearing the worst.
We would all be crazy if we let the fear take us over the way it maybe could. And whenever we're at the racetrack and all of a sudden there'll be a calm on the track and the roar of the engines are gone, the first thing you see is your children's eyes look at you. And it's like, tell me that's not my daddy. And that's whenever, you started worrying a little bit more. I never worried much. And it's not that I stay in a state of worry, but all of a sudden your life just passes before you, looking through your children's eyes and hoping that their father's going to be all right, because that's the main thing. That's what's the most important thing. Sure, he's a NASCAR driver, and there's a lot of wonderful things that come with that, but foremost, he's a daddy.
I don't want to die. I'm not ready to leave yet. There's a lot of things in life that I still yet want to experience, and I desperately want to be a part of my son growing up and being a good husband to my wife, and some things to accomplish in racing yet. So, I don't want all that to end.
When you lose control and you start to spin, or you're getting ready to be in a wreck, then everything seems to speed up.
We're talking less than tenths of seconds from the time you know you're going to wreck until it happens.
That's when you have fear, I can tell you that. When all of a sudden you lose control, and you're no longer in control, and you're sliding backwards, getting ready to hit a wall at 170, 180 miles per hour. A lot of fear then.
Love overcomes fear. I love what I do. And because I love what I do so much, the fear is overcome by the love of what I do. I've been racing ever since I was 12 years old. And I'm 51 now, so I don't know what the math is, but that tells you about how long I've been going around and around and around and around a lot of my life.
He's got a great sense of humor. He's also a very intense, focused kind of person, so it's you kind of go from one extreme to the other. There's not a whole lot of in-between, middle ground, but I love being married to Darrell. He's the best part of my life.
Comes Wallace moving to the inside. Wallace pulling.
The most successful driver on the circuit during the 1980s, Darrell Waltrip, won 57 races during that decade and captured series championships in 1981, 82, and 85. He was on top of the NASCAR world.
I was the center of attention. I was the focus of our sport at that time. We were on a roll. We had it going. We won 12 races in both years, 81 and 82, 14 poles both years. I mean, just dominating the sport, and just felt invincible.
Despite his overwhelming success, Waltrip's bulletproof attitude did little for his public image.
I was the most unpopular driver in the sport. People hated me. They called me Jaws. They booed me. They threw chicken bones and beer cans at me. They cussed me. When I'd win, it was like, man, people would wear anybody but Waltrip shirts. A guy came down out of the stands one day and his hat was ripped. It was torn. You could tell it had been sliced with a knife. And he come down there and he looked at me and said, boy, I'm going to tell you something, Darrell Waltrip. It's tough being a Darrell Waltrip fan in this sport. Like you just got the snot beat out of him, you know. So that was my image. That was the way that people perceived me. I always liked what Big Daddy Warbucks said. You don't have to be nice to people on the way up if you're never coming back down. Well, I don't know how many people out there feel that way, but take it from someone that's been up there, you will come back down sooner or later. And the fall can be devastating if you don't have somebody there to catch you.
Here's one car trying to get in front of him. Oh, trouble. That's Darrell Waltrip. It's Waltrip. Out of control. He slams the wall. He's going to get caught and almost nails Yarborough.
It was a wake-up call. There were people at that time that said hopefully that would knock me conscious, and it may have, because I'm not anywhere near the same guy that I was then that I am now. And it's because of my relationship with our Savior. He put some humility back in my life, for one thing. I took my focus off of myself, which is where it had always been. And it because of my relationship with him and his love for me, it gave me, it softened my heart, and it let me look at people differently. It was really, it was just a changing of my heart and how I felt and how I thought.
I think he's really, really smart, and I'm always kind of amazed at the way he can think things through and see where things are going long before they get there.
I looked at what I had accomplished and how I'd done that, and realized that there was no glory there. The trophies that I had won wasn't necessarily the kind that I should have been all that proud of, because I hadn't been a very nice guy doing it. I had a lot of fun, but I had a lot of regrets too. Now I'm having a lot of fun with no regrets, and that's a big difference. I still wanted to win, but I wanted to see if I could do it with a different style. I had been the guy with the black hat. I had been the villain. There's plenty of room for good guys to win races. There's plenty of room for good guys to be stars in their sport, chosen field, whatever it is. You don't have to be the bad guy. I still have the same fire. I'm 50 years old, but I still have the same fire to win. I always did. But I want to win. I don't want to win at all costs. And when your mindset is, I'll win at any cost, then you're going to hurt people. And even when you win, even when you're standing in victory circle, you have hurt people. And I did that. I've been there, I've done that, as they say. I thought there was probably a better way. From 1983 on, though, I made a conscious 100% effort to turn that around. And in 1989, 6 years later, most popular driver in the sport.
With his renewed enthusiasm, Waltrip found his greatest on-track moment came at the same site of his most devastating. He conquered his fears and won the 1989 Daytona 500, a memory Waltrip hopes will not be his last.
Twice, Stevie. I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500. Darrell, how long? Wait. The
This is the Daytona 500, isn't it? Don't tell me it isn't. Thank God. I'm not sure I've experienced my most exciting or most memorable moment in the sport yet, because I haven't won a race since 1992. And having been a consistent winner through the years, I went 15 years in a row with a win, at least one win. And so to go into this drought that I'm in now, I think one of the most memorable and exciting moments in my career would be the next win, wherever that may be. And that's what I keep looking for and kind of hanging in there for, is that hopefully that one more victory's out there somewhere. So I went to my first 500-mile race, and my wife, loving me and caring and worrying about me the way she does, she said, you know, he's going to be out there a long time, and he's going to get hungry. So she went back to the car and made me a ham and cheese sandwich, because I like ham and cheese sandwiches. And so I come in on one of my pit stops. All of a sudden, my wife comes running up and comes over the wall and hands me a ham and cheese sandwich during the race. Now, they're doing the pit stop. Well, I'm telling you what, everybody's telling her to get back out of the way, get back out of the way, and I'm sitting there holding a ham and cheese sandwich. And the crew's done, and they're saying, go, go, go. Well, so I took the ham and cheese sandwich, I threw it out the window, and I took off. Well, my wife was crushed. She broke into tears. And they said she was standing there, so I drove off, you know, in my blaze of glory. Said, but I thought he liked ham and cheese sandwiches.
In a world where ideals like faith and loyalty seem to have lost their meaning, every week, 42 men stake their lives on these very principles.
When you're on the racetrack and you get yourself in a bind, you trust somebody to get you out.
You know, I trust every driver on the racetrack to different degrees.
There's certain people that we race with that, I mean, I'm sure we won't let valet park our own cars.
You trust that he's going to go down that straightaway and really not change his path. About the time the guy does something different, that's when, you know, some things happen that, you know, are uncalled for.
They don't want to get hurt any worse than I want to get hurt. And I think most all these drivers have figured out that a good straight car without being bent all up is faster than one that's all bent up. And so they try to take care of their equipment the same way I'm trying to take care of mine. So we got a better chance of winning the race.
Nowhere is trust more evident than with the number 24 team of Jeff Gordon. The Rainbow Warriors work as parts of a whole for the good of one. Gordon is viewed as carrying the future of NASCAR on his shoulders. The driver sees it all much simpler. He is merely living out his dream.
It's the thrill of success and the thrill of winning. That's what really keeps me going and really drives me. I knew I loved driving a race car when I was very young. I mean, you know, 5 years old is when I first got behind the wheel of a race car that my stepfather had brought home. I was gung-ho on just about anything, especially if it had wheels and went real fast.
Success came quickly for Jeff Gordon. He had won over 600 races and 8 national titles by the age of 22. Then he burst onto the NASCAR circuit in 1993, winning 30 races before turning 26, and becoming the youngest ever to win the Daytona 500. With 2 series titles in 3 years, Gordon is still on the fast track to success.
That's, to me, what's really important, is to be able to go to a lot of different types of racetracks and conquer or you know, to really accomplish things at different styles and different size tracks, because then you're universal, and that's something that wins championships.
Conquering is what Jeff Gordon does best. But in the midst of all the victories, demands, and expectations, he has managed to keep a sense of perspective.
You know, racing is important to me. It's an important part of my career, but my wife and my future family are very, very important to me.
The night before every race, we try to go to Bible study, and then after that, Jeff and I will look through the Bible and try to find a scripture that says something to him and says something to me, and we feel like it's a meaningful verse, and we'll put that on, I'll put it on a little index card, and he tapes it to his steering wheel, and he looks at it during the cautions and the yellow flags.
So I need these reminders to let me know everything's going to be okay. You know, be patient and have faith.
Father, we're thankful that you chose grace over justice.
The first thing we do every race day is go to chapel, and after that I'll walk him to the car and I give him a big hug and tell him I love him. I'll be there for him when he gets out of the car, and that's how he starts his day.
I enjoy getting to spend those last few seconds with my wife and then being able to pray together. You know, that's what gets my day started in the right direction. I really don't know what I would do without the Lord in my life right now. It really has made a big difference, not only on the racetrack, but off the racetrack. I mean, it's a dangerous sport that we're in out there, and it's not really whether you win or lose on the racetrack. It's whether you win or lose with the Lord. And I've come to realize that, hey, there's a far greater place. There's so many bigger goals for me to set out there than just whether or not I win this race or win that race or win a championship.
I think the driving force behind who I am and what I do and how I act or how I react is Jesus Christ.
Once I trusted in God, it opened up my life to where I could see things in a whole different light.
That's what changed my life more than anything, is just knowing that I have God in my heart and He's on my side all the time.
If you got that hole in your stomach and you can't figure out what it is and you're not happy, relationships fall apart, you're angry all the time, nothing goes right, you feel like Eeyore, there's a black cloud hanging over your head all the time, then there's something missing, and it's just that relationship. Your best friends in the world will let you down. Jesus Christ won't let you down. He is there all the time.
There's nothing I can do to earn it. I mean, I can't be good enough to get in a personal relationship with the Lord or work my way to heaven. You can't do that.
It's like a gift, and reaching out and taking the gift that He's offering, just believing.
All you got to do is get on your knees and say, Lord, I love you. I'm a sinner. I've made mistakes. And will you come into my life? All you invite Him into your life. And that's a done deal.
To know that you can make just a horrendous mistake and to bow your head and close your eyes and ask for forgiveness. And somewhere up there you see the Lord just take an eraser and say, okay, your slate's clean.
And what you were is forgiven. And what you are is a whole new deal.
When I made that commitment to Christ and asked for forgiveness, He truly did forgive me, and He truly did renew me and restore me.
And it's amazing the changes that occur in your life.
Inside me was a different feeling, an inner feeling of peace, that whatever the situation was that was happening in my life, I could deal with it.
I think that's one of the great feelings in life. No matter what happens to me, how tough it gets, He knows what's in my life, and He's going through it with me.
You know, so we get to spend 100 years here on earth. Who cares? Eternity's a long, long time. So my relationship with Jesus Christ guarantees me that eternity.